Hi guys, welcome back to We Are Going to Talk About It. And today we are going to be tackling my personal favorite topic, love and science. Today I'm with Joy Mwesigwa. You'll probably see on the My Doctor podcast. But in case you've not, let me let her introduce herself and we dive right in.
Hi, lovely people. How are you? My name is Joy Mwesigwa. I am the host of My Doctor podcast. I'm a fifth-year medical student. I'm the president of My Doctor committee, and I'm happy to be here. Yeah.
Amazing. So I'm a big fan of My Doctor. Not big, but there was this episode I landed on hormones and stuff and how, why we fall in love can be explained by the chemicals in our brain.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get like your overview about that. Do you think love and the feeling of falling in love is just a mixture of chemicals in our brain and nothing supernatural?
I would say it's both, but chemicals play a big role. So I'll start by telling you a story. So there was a lady called she's still alive, Dr. Helen Fisher. So she's a doctor, and her colleagues got people who are in love or affected by love, and they did MRI scans. So they studied the brain of people who are in love or affected by love. So there were three categories. So there were people who had just fallen in love, then those who had just been dumped, and those who had been in love for more than 20 years. And they felt the love. So when they did that, they discovered that different hormones take play in love, like dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, and I think we're going to talk about all those in the episode. Yeah.
Oh, so all those different hormones take play in the brain.
Yeah.
So I think let's start with the one everyone knows, everyone has heard of, at least they've quoted it somewhere, dopamine. So I know that it's like a reward chemical.
Yes.
Yeah. So how exactly does it make you fall in love?
Okay, so dopamine is like a happy hormone. So what happens? So let me take you back to the brain and what they discovered. So I want you to look at the brain as a factory with different sectors, and the different sectors produce different products that affect the body. So when they did the brain scans, the part that lit up was the ventral tegmental area. So what does this part do? It produces dopamine. Now, when this dopamine is produced, it goes to two places. There's a place in the brain called the cortex. So it's for motivation, focus. That's why when you're in love, you're motivated, you're calling the person, you can spend the entire night talking to them, you're focused on that one person, you only see the good about them. And then the other part where the dopamine goes is the nucleus accumbens for the reward system. So when it goes to the reward system, that's why you feel pleasure. You feel that system is the same system that works when you are addicted to drugs, like cocaine, or addicted to alcohol, or when you eat food. That pleasure you feel, it makes you addicted to the person. It makes you want to spend more time with the person because you feel good when you're with them. So you want to spend more time with them. So yeah.
Okay. I've learned a couple of new words here. Yeah. So they say that overproduction of dopamine is usually bad. You should not overstimulate your brain to produce dopamine, engaging in impulsive pleasures and stuff. So in the context of love, how would you say that at this point it's now detrimental to the person? Because in what actions do you engage in to produce the dopamine? Is it like the sex? Is it when you've just met the person? What is it that happens? Now, and when does it become detrimental?
Okay, dopamine is just when you meet the person. And so now you would ask, why don't we fall in love with everyone we meet? Because if I say when you meet the person, so it takes us back to the different levels of hormones in different people. So there are different reasons why your dopamine will be ignited. First, social factors. Most people fall for people who they are connected to in terms of religion, values, social upbringing, and everything. But then also, people fall in love with people whose hormones are kind of the same level as them. I don't know how to explain it. So there are 4 categories of people, personalities, and who they fall in love with. And that's when your dopamine will be triggered, right? I don't know if we're together. So now there are people who have high dopamine levels. So those are called the explorers. They are spontaneous risk takers. They will wake up one day and they're doing this. They take risks.
So their brain produces more dopamine than the rest.
Exactly. Now those fall in love with each other because they'll take the risks together. Then there are those who have high serotonin levels. So these are the people who follow rules. They're called the builders. They follow rules. They want stability. They want to follow a routine. And those also fall in love with each other, because if you get serotonin and dopamine, they won't connect. I want to follow my routine. You want to take a risk. It won't work. Then there are those who have high testosterone levels. So these are people who are analytical. They're competitive. Most men, I could say, competitive, analytical, So those fall in love with people with high estrogen levels, opposites. Nurturing, caring, engaging, they care about people, they're empathetic. So when you reach someone who you're attracted to in that way, then your dopamine will be triggered. Then with the sex, or what we call coitus in science, that releases different hormones that are non-dopamine. So when you have coitus with someone, the woman releases oxytocin after, and that's an attachment hormone. So when you release oxytocin, you get attached to the person, right? So oxytocin is even released in other aspects like breastfeeding. That's why when you get a wife and they give birth, they'll tell you that we tell the mother to have the baby skin to skin contact in the first hour of life for bonding. So when you hug, when you hold hands, any contact releases oxytocin, leading to bonding. But now for the men, when they have coitus, they release testosterone. You only release oxytocin if you're attracted to the person. Now, since you release testosterone, that's why men can have coitus and not get attached immediately. I don't know if I'm making sense.
Yeah,
Oxytocin is the attachment hormone. Females release it, whether you like the person or not. That's why we fall in love easier when you have coitus. For the men, they release testosterone. You only release oxytocin if you've had it with this person for a long time or you actually love them. So that's where the attachment and those are the hormones that are released when you have coitus. Yeah.
Okay. Now, there are 2 major points there. Let me start with the first one about the dopamine and you fall in love with the same person. I was reading a research study about empathic resonance. So they did a study of first dates that happened on a bridge. So like a steady bridge and a shaky bridge. So on a steady bridge, those first dates did not result into long-term relationships, or the person did not it wasn't a successful first date per se, according to your definition of successful. Probably they didn't get to take the person back home. They didn't get to, go on after that. But then the ones on the rickety bridge, they were more successful than the ones on the steady bridge because of the thing of empathic resonance. Anyway, that's what it was saying. It was Dr. K quoting this, empathic resonance. So you were saying you're supposed to feel the same emotions with the person at the very same time. So let me say something scares you. Your partner must be scared so that you guys can fall in love. So now you hinted on dopamine and people falling in love with each other when they have the similar emotions, which kind of relates to this article. So I wanted to ask you, for example, now like that movie called Fall in Love, is it in 24 hours, something like that? Don't you think I can recreate situations that make the person produce dopamine for them to fall in love with me?
That's tricky. It could happen. Because, see, we have the same hormones, though at different levels, yeah? So if you're going through the same things, then higher chances are you will go through the same emotions and become attached. However, your brain has a subconscious list of the things you want in a partner that you may not know about. So that's why, and it's governed by the biology we talked about, the 4 hormones, and the social things you've been going through, yeah? So for example, if I've been in a violent family and I don't like people shouting, even if you are subject me in the same situation and we are both scared and this person is over shouting, it may be a trigger for me. My subconscious list, people don't know that in your brain, there's a subconscious list. That's why they say that sometimes men fall for women who are like their mothers. Girls fall for men who are like their fathers. Because in your brain, that's probably the best female you've ever seen. The person you're intimately connected to is your mother. So subconsciously, you have a list. So that's tentative. It depends. If this person is already falling into that list and kind of you have similar characteristics and the hormones are doing their thing, then it could happen. But it can't happen all the time. It depends on the situation.
Yeah, but it's likely to happen. And then you hinted on the sex. Now, when you produce, you said men only get attached when they like the person. So that's what I wanted for you to explain, like the post-nut clarity. So when the post-nut clarity, probably someone you usually found attractive and now you've gotten a chance to sleep with them, now you no longer find them attractive. But okay, rare cases, right? So there is this study, it was a story about an American president who went to visit a chicken roaster farm. So he asked the person who was taking them around, he was like, he pointed at a roaster and was like, this one copulates 300 times a day. Then the other person, the wife of the president, was like, that's impressive, 300 times a day. Maybe you should like pick a leaf, right? Mocking the president. Then this guy was like, it's President Coolidge. Then President Coolidge was like, wait, 300 times a day with the same hen or different ends. It was like different ends. So now they adopted a term called the Coolidge effect, saying that a man's sexual drive, that they can have sex multiple times with novel partners, but with the same partner, they can only have sex once. So I don't know if that correlates to what you were saying about them being attached and when they do produce oxytocin. So is it subject to that same thing? Do you think there is any way you can merge it with the post-nut clarity?
Okay, so just to say that both women and men have testosterone actually, that drives your sexual drive. So in love, there's sexual drive, there's romantic attraction and attachment. So for the sexual drive, since men have more testosterone than women, then that testosterone triggers them to want to have coitus. That's why, I don't know if it's true, you tell me, but that's why men sometimes can have it with anyone, or, okay, not anyone as such, but they can have it with many people and don't get attached, yeah? But it's because that you guys have higher testosterone than us. I don't know if that makes sense to you. So I can see someone and I won't want to do it because I have higher oxytocin than you. So I am likely to get more attached. You're likely to want to have more coitus. So when you have it with many partners, yeah, you release testosterone after having it. So you may not get attached to the partner. But with time, when you have it very many times, you will likely get attached to the person. I don't know if I've answered you.
Yeah. I'm getting the point. I'm getting the point. Okay. And now serotonin. Let's talk about serotonin. Yeah. How does it influence love from a different level than dopamine and stuff? What's its role?
So serotonin is a mood regulator normally. But when you fall in love in the initial stages, it goes low. So when it goes low, you get into a state of OCD, I could say. Yeah, obsessive compulsive disorder. So you become obsessed with the person. You're checking your phone to see if they have texted. You're wanting to know where they are at that time. You're very obsessed with the person. But with time, as the love goes on and everything, it stabilizes. So when it stabilizes, you go into the state of stability where you can go like 5 hours, half a day without talking to them and you're fine. You're like, are you okay? Okay, good. So it's just that it going low, you feel obsessed, but then it fades away after some time and then you will become stable and you can now go on with your daily activities without being so much affected.
Okay. Yeah. Would you also say that serotonin is like the hormone for fulfillment?
Fulfillment?
Yeah, because as I was reading somewhere and they were saying, usually now, for example, the practice that monks go through usually induces more serotonin than dopamine. So now dopamine, impulsive pleasures, serotonin, fulfillment. So that means you're content with your life. Yeah. And they found that such people are usually less lustful because they feel fulfilled. Yeah. And I don't know. So now I'm trying to draw the line. So maybe it starts with dopamine, then you get fulfilled serotonin. But let's first tackle oxytocin so that I see how the order goes. Then we can come back to this question. Then oxytocin, bonding.
The order is dopamine first. You're happy, you're excited, you want to spend time, blah, 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 blah. And the serotonin is a bit low. So you're obsessed. Then the next order is the serotonin goes a bit high. Then now you feel fulfilled. You're planning things like, let's get a house. You're more stable. You're thinking more clearly. Then oxytocin, the attachment, comes in later. And actually science shows that it comes in after 17 months. Yeah. So this whole period before like the first year and everything, you're still in that excitement, up and down excitement, attachment, dopamine and serotonin. Then that oxytocin attachment comes in after like 17 months, where you become more stable, you can tolerate each other's, you start seeing each other's bad sides very clearly, but you can tolerate them because you are attached. Yeah.
Okay, that reminds me also of something. So you know that movie, Think Like a Man. There is a book that he released, an actual book about Think Like a Man. So he was saying that usually, if you want to, like women were complaining about that I'm always getting a toxic man, every man I get is toxic, or he ends up being bad, yet he was perfect. Then he kind of stipulated this rule. It was like the 3-month rule. He's like, when you meet a man now, you give it 3 months without having sex with them. So now you allow them to, you can go 6 months, a year, but he was like, if you can't control yourself, do 3 months. Like if you're like a very lustful person or your sexual drive is high, do 3 months. Because in those 3 months, when this person is putting in effort without a reward of, let me say, sex, that's when you can prove that he likes you. Because when you have sex, you produce that hormone oxytocin, which kind of cripples your judgment. So you're not able to see this person's red flags from the onset. But if you delay 3 months, you'll be able to see the red flags clearly because there is no oxytocin, there is nothing confusing you. Do you think that's accurate?
Yeah, that's very true because in the initial stages of love, like we said, you're very excited. The parts of your brain that are supposed to do critical thinking and decision making are blurred. Yeah. And more so when you include coitus, more blurring. Yeah. So that's why they advise you to do that. And also when you spend more time with someone and you get an issue, whenever you have issues, that part that does decision making and critical thinking is stimulated. So you can now think and be like, this person can do this. Okay. So you're now becoming more critical and you're like, okay, this can happen. Okay. And you're making more clear judgments because your decision making is turned on. So that theory, I believe it's right because you need some time, to get out of that blurring and actually figure out if this is what you would actually want.
Now, so from the start, we have at least one takeaway for like people who are listening, because I know everyone is not like scientific and stuff. That just is boring for them. So the takeaway is the 3-month rule. Like if maybe you've been having bad luck with relationships, then since how would you relate, like, you know how social media excretes dopamine in our brains? How would you relate the over consumption of social media affecting the dating right now? Because a study was produced and was saying that, okay, it was majorly on men, but 90% of men are lonely. They can't find partners. But then they also say that generally, even women, like women who have hit 30, and you can put this on very many other things. There is the sexual revolution, there is the incel movement, the red pill movement, but then there was also that part of like the dating crisis and social media because of the dopamine you produce every time you're consuming social media. So how would you relate it back to our dating crisis right now?
So for that social media thing, actually, Dr. Fisher talks about it, and she's like, she doesn't think it affects anything. Why? Because we are just doing courtship in a different way. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, okay, maybe the other thing would be maybe the things that we are consuming in our brains with the social media and the ideologies that we are getting into also are influencing our love life. Yeah. The I don't need a man theory, or we men are trash. Maybe that could be affecting your judgment and mind. But other than that, the social media, like the dating apps, getting to know someone on text and all that, it's just courtship in a modern way. So your hormones are going to react the same way those guys used to write letters, the same way they used to meet up and talk, is the same way your social media is helping you to ignite these hormones. So in terms of dating, it's just us doing it a different way. And probably maybe it's more exposure, I could say, more exposure in terms of you're now exposed to many people and it's harder to maybe, I don't know, figure out who and everything. But other than that, it's the same thing being done in a different way.
Yeah. Wouldn't you argue that dating apps give us too much choice? And it cripples the dating because, you know, we used to criticize like planned marriages, but you realize for planned marriages, you used to have like one choice. And if it's true that it's chemicals in the brain that lead to love, that means maybe you can grow to love your planned partner as long as they're kind, I think, with time. But now with the dating market, and also you always assume there is someone better. Like, let me say you've gotten this guy, you're like, but he's not 6 feet. I'll find someone who is 6 feet. Then you get a guy who's 6 feet. You're like, but there's probably someone who's light skinned. Then you get someone who's light skinned. You're like, maybe someone who's richer and has all these other qualities like that. Maybe someone kinder. Or what would you say about that? That too much choice, which is available to us because you can literally just see the partners on your phone. You just have to scroll and invest time.
I think that takes us to values and upbringing, and because that also plays a part in this, yeah. And also it takes us back to the different personalities we talked about. Now, it's proven that most people who jump around are the high dopamine people. You're risk-taking, they easily get bored. So when you see this person, they are 5 feet, they are tall and everything, and you're like, I'm bored. I think maybe I want to try a short one. I want to try this one. But it also depends on your personality and your upbringing. Now, the serotonin guys will settle with one person. It's just you. The brain was created to be monogamous. You are created to focus on one person. And maybe that's what social media is doing to us, to give us very many options. But it's just up to you as a person when you're mind loves the person, your heart loves the person, and your brain is taking part in loving the person, then it's a personal choice to choose to stick to that person, because we can't keep blaming the brain that it's my brain, it's my brain. It's your personal choice, your values, and you choosing to stick to that person. Yeah.
So you talk about people having a dominant hormone, dopamine, serotonin. So what advice would you give to someone whose inherent or innate hormone is like high dopamine, people spontaneous and always looking for the next adventure? What advice would you give them when they're in that state of, I now want to find love, I want to settle, but this is what's pulling me behind? Yeah, what advice would you give them?
I think behavior is hormonal and learned. So you can train yourself to settle down. You can know that, see, I have high dopamine. I love to change. I don't want to say women. I love to explore and everything, but it's up to discipline and choosing that, you know what, I can change this behavior, because behavior can be learned. The brain can be trained and tuned to do different stuff. So, okay, when I expose myself and go to certain environments like this, I'm exposed to this and I end up messing up, or I'm exposed to different women. When I'm on these social media platforms, these people are texting me. So these hormones play a role, fine, but behavior can be learned. It starts with you knowing that, you know what, I have this hormone which is high, and it has this pitfall, and I'm doing this wrong. Maybe I'm over exploring and choosing that, wait, I can work on this, because your brain can be trained to become someone that you want to become. Yeah.
Oh, so they should just train their brain to become that person they want to become.
Yes.
So what kind, like specific examples, what trainings could they do?
You need to know what your trigger is. You need to know what you want to change, first of all. If you want to change, you're like, oh my God, I've never settled with.
I want to change novelty. Like when I'm with someone for too long, I get bored of them.
Yeah. Then you need to find out why you're bored. What is it that you used to do that made you excited in the first place? When people are starting love relationships, they're going on dates, watching movies, doing this and that. And then when you get into the relationship, you stop and you will definitely get bored. So you need to find out what used to get you excited. Try new things with your partner. And even those things of trying new things, traveling, it actually puts your dopamine up. So even if the dopamine had gone low and you guys are no longer excited, try new things. Just find out what excites you guys as a couple. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Now you just have to backtrack to what excites you and try and recreate it. Okay. And then before I move on to the next question, I wanted to first tackle that part of the dopamine and affecting love and social media, because I was reading somewhere they were saying that the reason why people cannot get bored on first dates, because why most first dates do not work out, is because of the high dopamine we are always excreting. For example, you're always on social media, so your brain produces a lot of dopamine. And when dopamine is produced, when it goes back to below baseline, then you have to produce more. You have to consume more of the same of what you've been consuming to produce the same level of dopamine. I don't know if that's making sense. Yeah. So now they were saying that when you're going for a first date, you should at least like take a walk for 1 hour or leave social media for like at least 24 hours before the first date. Because now you're on TikTok, you're scrolling through videos, dopamine is being produced. Now you go for a first date, this person is probably mundane. They're being normal, but for you, in your view, they're boring, right? Because the first date is probably going to be at a restaurant and you guys are going to talk, which is going to turn out boring. So they were saying, if you pull back on your dopamine production, maybe that talk won't be as boring as you think it is. Because now most people are excited about the idea of, okay, I want my first date to be in the Maldives, because that's something novel. It's going to produce more dopamine than they were getting from TikTok, but which is very rare. You're not going to find someone who's going to ask you and say, let's have a first date at the Maldives. So if you like want to settle right now, and then you're dealing with options you have at the moment, I think that would be a very nice strategy. Now, trauma bonding. What do you have to say about trauma bonding? Because when I look at it, they talk about trauma bonding, but I just think it's like empathic resonance. For example, I'm affected. The other example I gave, we are both on a rickety bridge, we are scared, so we fall in love, and it's considered normal. But why is trauma bonding not normal? Yet I think it's just the same thing in a different context. These feelings, maybe we have the same feelings of anxiety. I fear public speech. I fear relapsing. And then we find ourselves connecting for that. Do you think it can be translated into a long-term relationship if I trauma bonded with someone, or I'm just using them to get over my current situation? Yeah.
So trauma bonding, it literally depends on the type of trauma probably that you could you give me an example of like a trauma?
Let me say we're both doing like, let me say, cocaine or oxy, whatever drug it is, and then we meet in rehab, and then I get your perspective. You say, man, I started using because I felt alone. Then I also feel it. Then I also open up and talk. Then somehow we connect, and now doctors call that like trauma bonding. Like you guys were bonding off your feelings of helplessness in that very moment. So yeah, don't you think that same thing can be translated into like a long-term relationship? Because at that very moment, they're having like an empathic resonance. They're both on the same line and reason the same thing you are saying.
I think it can, because this apart from the hormones, even what we go through shapes who we end up with. So the moment you're talking to someone who has experienced what you've been through, already you're opening up. Your brain is you may even release dopamine in that state. Like you're excited, you're like, oh my God, this person understands me. They understand that I'm trying to recover from cocaine. They understand that people have been talking. They understand this and this and that. So your brain automatically feels connected to this person, you get, because you guys are experiencing the same things. So your brain will know that this is a person who understands me. So it will go through all those phases of releasing all those hormones of love. And then you may end up falling for this person. And it could be long term. It really depends on, because love is not only governed by the hormones, like we said, or the conversations we have. It depends. If you guys spend your months and then when you reach the problem solving part and you see you can tolerate the person's other side you didn't know, then it could turn into a long-term relationship. But yeah, trauma normally brings people together because you have the same experiences and your brains know that this is someone I can connect to, someone I'm safe with, someone I can talk to, so you will continue talking and being close to each other, and that proximity will foster those hormones to start working towards love.
Okay. Then we talked about if you want to be in a long-term relationship, you can always relive your feelings of excitedness, the ones you felt before, like relive them again, recreate them. So apart from that, now, like, let me say for like the short-term people there, the short-term maters, but who admire a long-term relationship, what would you say is like a number one skill to be in a long-term relationship that maybe you and your partner should possess to have a thriving long-term monogamous relationship? Yeah,
I would think be monogamous.
And then but I want to be monogamous, but yes, I'm having trouble. Yeah.
What do you mean you're having trouble? Choose not to.
No, not
sleep.
me, but
No. Yeah. I'm saying choose not to sleep with other people, because we said when you sleep with someone else, you're going to get attached. Even if you're a man and you think you won't get attached, with time you release oxytocin and get attached. Now see, your brain is confused. I'm attached to I won't say my name. I'm attached to Stacia. I'm attached to Tracy. I'm attached to Bonita. Now your brain is confused and your all your hormones are all over the place, meaning it's going to be hard for you to focus on this one person, because the brain was created to focus. When you fall in love with someone, your cortex is supposed to focus and be motivated to this one person. So I think when you involve other partners, whether male or female, you are going to confuse your brain, and that is going to lead to confusion in your love life. So you're attached to all these people. You're going to spread your time and excitement, and if you have one that you're even doing coitus more with, you may even get more attached to them. So to me, my number one thing would be try and stay with that one partner that you're with. Try to work it out. Try to get excited again. Try to know what triggers both of you. Behavior change. My partner is a dopamine person. Maybe I am serotonin. Try to work it out. Try to know yourselves and stick to each other, because once you involve attachment with many hotspots in Kampala and many attachments, then I feel like that's the beginning of your downfall. Yeah.
Okay. And now for the last question would be, do you think brain chemistry can explain heartbreak? Because I was also reading somewhere that were like, the feelings you get after heartbreak are similar to the withdrawal process of like a cocaine addict. Yeah. So how would you explain that?
So now I will take you back to the scans we did. Yeah? So remember, there were some guys who were dumped that were also subjected to the scan. So it was interesting that part of the brain that produces dopamine was lighting up even more in them.
After the war. Heartbroken.
Yes. Why? Because that dopamine is for the reward system. So have you seen, I don't know if you've ever been rejected. I don't know if it but like, when someone has been rejected, you can become obsessed with the person. You're checking, you're stalking them, social media. Have you heard of crimes of passion? So you're like, hey, who's this new guy? I'm going to kill that guy. You become your reward system. You become obsessed. I remember the reward system is the one that deals with addiction.
Oh, so if I'm getting this correct, you're saying in that process, it's dopamine driving you.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's a bit low, but your reward system is high, very high. So, and that's the same system that works for cocaine addiction, alcohol addiction. So you get addicted to this person. Yeah. So it's a bad type of addiction. Yeah. So that's why people are advised when you are in that part of heartbreak, take off some time from the person, because when you are healing from a heartbreak, you are like going through withdrawal symptoms of cocaine or any other drug. You go through different phases. That's why you could have, there are phases of healing from heartbreak. There's protest, you want to reach out to the person, closure and everything. Then there's resignation. You're like, hey, this has happened, it's okay. And there's recovery. But you can go back. You know, you've been taking cocaine and you see it. You haven't taken it in a month. You see it and you're like, ooh, I want to take it again. That's how love is, heartbreak. You can be in a car, you've not talked to the person for a while, and then you hear a song that you guys used to love and you're tearing up because it's like withdrawal from a drug. And also another part that lit up in the brain was a part for physical pain. So when you're going through heartbreak, your brain and your body treats it like physical pain. That's why you can feel, I don't know if you've been heartbroken before, but you can feel chest pain, you're crying, you feel like you're sick, you feel like that's your part, that the part in the brain that deals with physical pain is activated. So yeah, so it's physical pain and having that obsession, addiction.
Since in cocaine, the procedure is withdrawal, like any other drug, alcohol, they withdraw, they remove you entirely, they even put you in rehab, separated from like that substance. Would you advise that? So what you're saying is that in the context of love, since it's the same brain chemistry, we can't differentiate between physical pain and that heartbreak. The brain can differentiate and you face the same kind of pain. Would you advise people who are undergoing a heartbreak right now to cut off contact from their exes totally?
Yes. Cut off contact. Let me even look in the camera. Cut off contact. Some people here are disagreeing and others are agreeing, but cut off contact. Do you know why? It's because I feel like it's two things that take place. You're not allowed. Okay, not allowed. You're not advised to overthink because you're going to get more obsessed. You're going to get more addicted. You're going to stalk the person. It's okay to think a bit to know where you went wrong or where the person went wrong. That's okay. But the more you get, it's like cocaine. I have it there and I'm saying I'm withdrawing. That's a lie.
So if closure is a myth. Like saying I want closure from this person before I can move on. Is that a myth?
It's okay. The thing is, with the stages of heartbreak, the protest, some people do closure when they're in protest. You're trying to bargain. It's like bargaining time. Like, what did I do? Blah, blah, blah. But once that's done, please go to resignation.
You cut off.
If you're sure it's done, because I don't want to be the person who tells people that they don't get closure. I love love. So, but so if you want the closure, it's okay. But once that's done and the person told you, I don't want you, or you know it's done, take off time, I don't want to say cut them off, but cut contact. Don't be in the same spaces as them. If you share friends, take off some time and recover, because you don't want to get into that obsession.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for being here and talking about this. It was a blessing having you here, and possibly someone has picked up something, one or two things that they will implement in their life to find a partner or to get over heartbreak or to maintain a long-term relationship. I think that was the gist of it majorly, really. So guys, check out the My Doctor podcast as well. She's the host and it talks about health-related issues, health and the law, health and everything health. Yeah. So in summary, conclusion is that, science can explain love quite very well. Starts with the amygdala, sensory organs, and then you go into dopamine phase. And then now when you have sex, the oxytocin, you can delay that sex if you want to test this person is loyal or not, or to test if this one is the right partner for you without, clouding your judgment. And then the serotonin comes in. That's when you're fulfilled. When you're fulfilled, you're less likely to cheat because serotonin is the hormone in charge of fulfillment. Yeah. Thank you for that. And hopefully we'll have you here again. Bye.
Bye.